Everyone. So, for our first reading, a very brief reading, it's a very famous passage from Herodotus, who was an ancient historian, 5th century BC, so about between 400 and 500 years before the birth of Christ. Wrote a book called The Persian Wars, and it was about a lot of things. He did a lot of traveling, Herodotus, and this is a very famous passage, which you obviously can read for yourself. I don't have too much to say about it, except that it's fascinating and what its implications are, I'm not really sure. What he said is that you'd have to be crazy to make fun of other people's customs. That is, you would have to be insane because you would be uh, ignoring the fact that everyone in the world thinks that their customs are the best, which is pretty interesting. As he says, for if one were to offer men to choose out of all the customs in the world, such as seemed to them the best, they would examine the whole number and end by preferring their own. And he gives a very striking example where he tells an anecdote about Darius, the king of Persia, who had many different peoples, very many different nationalities in his vast kingdom. Some of them were Greeks and some of them were Indian. And there's this wonderful incident, who knows if it actually happened, where he asks some of his Greek subjects about the question having to do with the burial customs of their fathers, and then asks the Indians the same questions, and essentially both parties are horrified by the practices of the other party. So, and he ends this passage with a quote from the ancient Greek poet Pindar, who said, "Custom is the king over all." That is, custom rules over everything. Everything apparently is custom. So, if we ask about what is good, the Greeks would say it's good to to burn the body of your father, and it's bad to eat them. And the Indians would say, if this is actually true, this one group, that it's good to eat the bodies of your father, and it's bad to burn them. So what is good and bad, by some implications, or some implication, some interpretation of the implications, what is good and bad is merely a matter of custom, and that's really, I suppose, the idea behind the editors of this anthology giving you this to read, because the implication might be that everything is custom, including what is good, what is bad, what is ethical, what is morally good, what is morally bad. Now, whether Herodotus really meant to imply such a radical thesis of cultural relativism, I don't know. But it certainly is a reasonable interpretation of, of this brief passage.